Hi, this video is to show you how to set up for Harry Potter. So we're going to open up to Harry Potter. I have put in the job sheets. Each student will only have one of these in their book, but this is going to serve as my book. So I've put the A, B, C, and D in here so that if I need to refer to it for any reason, then I can. It's like when we're setting up our notebooks, I'll often refer to it. So this first way I'm going to show you is if you're using Harry Potter as your very first novel. If you use Frindle as your first novel, you'll set it up just a little bit differently, and I'll show you that right after. So if Harry Potter is your first novel, the first thing you're going to do is hand out the sheets to the students. They'll either have an A, B, C, or D. I usually make sure there's an A, B, C, and D at each table. That's totally up to you. And then once they have that in, you're going to do these first few pages all the same, because for using it as our first novel, we're going to teach all the lessons with just section 1 of the book. And so I labeled them 1.1 to 1.7. So we're going to use section 1. 1.1 will be doing the work for section 1. 1.2 will be doing the work for section 2 and 3. And so on. And that way they can use all this work from section 1 that we've done together as an example as they continue to read on and do the jobs for themselves. So we're going to start with section 1.1, which for everyone is the same. It's figure to find and question number 1. So that's going to be your first page. Then we're going to do 1.2. So we're still going to use what we read in section 1, but we're going to do the work together for section 2. So the next page will say section 1.2. And I followed the A sheet for this, just because it was on top. So it's going to be figure to find, word wizard, and questions 2 and 3. Figure to find, word wizard, questions 2 and 3. And then word wizard has a sheet for them to do their activity on. So here it is, and then they'll use this paper to answer questions 2 and 3. Then we'll go to 1.3 and put in figure to find, sum it up, in question 4. So the next page is section 1.3, figure to find, sum it up, question 4. Sum it up is writing a summary of the chapters in there, so they simply just use the paper here for that, and question 4. And of course in all these decimal ones we're doing it together as a group. Next will be section 1.4, figure to find, fortune teller, and question 5. Section 1.4, so I'm just copying all that in there. So we don't, once we've set up the notebook, we don't have to go back to this page. Although you can if you forgot something or whatever, they always have it there to look at. And next will be section 1.5, figure to find, text detective, and question 6. So text detective does have an activity sheet. This has the actual questions that they're going to find in the text, and the teaks are listed on it as well. And question 6, or section 1.6, we're doing figure to find, what a character, and question 7. This one also has a sheet with it, 1 sheet per student. They glue it down, fold it, and cut on the dotted line for that one. And 1.7, figure to find, plot diagram, questions 8, 9, and 10. This last section takes 2 pages. So we have our clouds here. Now we may not find everything here in section 1. I haven't gone through to see if it's all there yet. But J.K. Rowling uses a lot of figurative language in her writing, so it's a possibility. But we're just showing them how to do the job for that one. so it won't matter if we get it completely filled up. And the plot diagram, there is a sheet that you'll put in, and then questions 8, 9, and 10 will be answered here. So you'll notice that figure to find is on every one because we want them to come back to section 7 and fill everything in here that they can before they get to section 7. You don't want to ignore this until section 7 and have to go back and find it all. So while I'm showing, when I'm showing the students how to do each section, anytime we come across any of the figurative language or imagery, stereotyping, anecdotes, something like that, we go ahead and put it in. Alright, so that's how you're going to set up Harry Potter if you're using it as your first novel. So you're going to be teaching those first sections. If you chose to do Frindle first, then you would skip all of those 1 points and you would just do section 1 like this, only leave off the 1.1. And then you would go on to section 2, figure find, questions 2 and 3. Now I left blank on here where it says word wizard here. And there's a purpose for doing that, and I'll show you that in a moment. So we're going to leave that alternating job off. Section 3 is going to have, we're going to have figure find and question 4, but we're leaving the other job blank for right now. Section 4, everything but fortune teller. Section 5, everything but text detective. Section 6, everything but what a character. And section 7, I haven't glued those in yet, is everything's going to be there because sections 1 and section 7 are the same for everyone through the whole story. Now the reason I left that open is because you'll notice for section 2, if you're an A, your job is word wizard. If you're a B, you have what a character. If you're a C, you have text detective. And if you're a D, you have fortune teller. So this is where you have to have the kids go back and make sure they're writing in the correct one. So I have an A, B, C, and D usually at each table. I usually have 4 at a table. So once we've filled in everything except that job, we get to those pages. So I'm on section 2. I'm going to say raise your hand if you're an A, and then one student at each table should, and I'll ask them, what is your job? Word wizard. So I say, if you're an A, write in word wizard. And I'll go to the next one. I do this very slowly the first time. Once they've done it once, they really do catch on easily. Raise your hand if you're a B. What's your job? What a character. If you're a B, write in what a character. And same thing for C. If you're a C, what's your job? Text detective. And if you're a D, fortune teller. So they fill that one in, and then we all go to section 3. If you're an A, raise your hand. What's your job? Sum it up. Write it in. If you're a B, what is your job for 3? Word wizard. Write it in. If you're a C, and if you're a D, and continue that on through section 6. So that's why I leave it blank here for my example, because they're going to write in all this first, and then we'll go back and fill that blank in. And also while they're raising their hand, so word wizard, when those A's are writing that in, I'd be passing out the sheet they need to glue in. I'd be passing out, when I ask the B's to write in what a character, I'll pass that out so they can glue it in. I pass out the text detective to C's, and fortune teller doesn't have a pass out, so they don't need it for that one. And do that with each one as you go down. I hope that makes sense to you. So obviously I haven't glued those sheets in because they are different for each one, so on my example book I don't put those in there. Alright, thanks for watching.